pretty significant NHL trade to discuss today involving the St. Louis Blues and the Carolina Hurricanes, swapping some defensemen and some other parts as well. We'll get into the full details of the trade coming up next. So welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey. We have some breaking news from the NHL. We have a pretty significant trade going down today between the St. Louis Blues and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, here is the full details of the trade. The St. Louis Blues received defenseman Justin Faulk and a 2020 fifth-round selection from the Carolina Hurricanes. Going back the other way to the Hurricanes is defenseman Joel Edmundson, along with prospect Dominic Bach and a 2021 seventh-round selection. Now, this is a pretty significant trade for both sides. Of course, Justin Faulk is a player that's been mentioned in trade rumors for quite some time now. I actually recorded a video just earlier today, which hasn't even been finished editing or posting yet here on the channel, which will be coming a little bit later. Obviously, I'll take some parts of it out because both of these players were players that I was discussing based on some recent information from the Elliot Friedman 31 Thoughts blog. So for me, it's not a huge surprise to see either defenseman on the move. I'm just kind of surprised in a way that they're being swapped for each other. Now, part of this trade is Justin Faulk has come to terms on a contract extension with the St. Louis Blues. He signed a 7-year deal at $6.5 million average annual value, and it's a front-loaded contract where he's going to be earning $9 million in the first 2 years of the deal, and then it's backdiving afterwards. I don't have the full details if there's any type of a no trade or a modified no trade or anything like that. Those details haven't been confirmed as of the recording of this video. If those details become available, check the pinned comment down at the top of the comment section here. I'll update that if I can discover any more details on the contract. But either way, that's a pretty significant contract for the St. Louis Blues. Of course, Joel Edmundson is a player that's not a shock that he's traded. Of course, he was a healthy scratch at times during the playoffs and some of the most important games of the year last year for St. Louis. And of course, they had an arbitration hearing because he was an RFA this past summer, and he was awarded a contract for 1 year at $3.1 million, which I found a little bit high. I was a little bit surprised it was so high, awarded through arbitration. And I think it's pretty fair to say that the Blues were not a big fan of that contract that he was given. Of course, they haven't been a huge fan of his recent play, so the fact that they tried to make an upgrade here on their blue line isn't a real big shock. Like I said, both these guys have been mentioned in rumors. Like I said, Elliot Friedman's 31 Thoughts blog that just came out earlier today had mentioned the possibility of Edmundson possibly being a player that was being considered to be traded. So like I said, I was recording a video earlier today talking about this possibility, except I didn't think it was going to be for each other. Now, of course, the St. Louis Blues obviously upgrade their blue line by adding Justin Faulk, but it certainly creates a little bit of a logjam on the right side that now gives them not only Justin Faulk, but it gives them Colton Parayko, Alex Pietrangelo, and Robert Bortuzzo, who are all right shot defensemen. Of course, on the left side, they had Vince Dunn, Jay Bouwmeester, and Carl Gunnarsson. Now, I guess from a salary cap perspective, this is likely going to be the final year for Gunnarsson and Bouwmeester. A pretty good chance that both of them retire, or at least that they don't retain with the Blues after the current season. They're both unrestricted free agents, so we'll see how they can proceed that way. But it certainly does raise some question marks for the future of Captain Alex Pietrangelo. But I do think with those two other defensemen kind of coming off the books, that the Blues likely would be able to extend him and retain him beyond the coming year because he's also a pending UFA. Just creates a little bit of a logjam on that right side of the blue line. So I guess we'll see how they go about things here. But outside of Vince Dunn, there's not a lot of left-handed defensemen that are going to be around longer term with the Blues. We'll see what else they do to maybe transform this blue line for the beyond the coming season. But from the Carolina perspective, they get Joel Edmundson. Obviously, they didn't want to pay Justin Faulk this kind of money, so it gets rid of that contract. They do lose a little bit of offense that way. I mean, Justin Faulk's had 15, 16, and 17 goal seasons in the past. 35, 38 points around that range, so he's pretty decent that way. But obviously, they get Joel Edmundson a much cheaper contract, 3.1. They're not committed long term, so they can kind of try things out. They obviously have a lot of defensemen in Carolina, so there's certainly going to be a lot of competition for him to get a fair bit of ice time. They get Dominic Bach, who's a terrific young prospect that I personally am a big fan of. I'm really high on Bach. I'm a little bit surprised that St. Louis was able to include him here to make the upgrade from Edmundson to Faulk. And of course, they swap draft picks as well. So in the short term, I do like this deal for St. Louis for the coming year. The contract for Faulk isn't too bad. I'm just a little disappointed they gave up Bach because I think that's another great young forward to add to the Hurricanes organization. So longer term, I kind of like this trade for both sides in the short term, but the longer term, it just might favor Carolina. It's just hard to say. It really depends if Bach turns out to be the player that I think he can be it could possibly be a win longer term for them, but it's just kind of hard to say right now. But either way, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this trade. Obviously, the Blues get a long-term extension with Faulk. The Carolina Hurricanes basically get a tryout here with Joel Edmundson for 1 year, and they get another terrific young prospect. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.